these few weeks heading up to the caucuses, this is when people do their homework, and they're going to see. There's an article in the Iowa Republican today he called basically Ted Cruz the Trojan horse of social conservatism. And these are the types of articles that you're going to start to see. People are going to start to say, oh, wait a minute, he says he's these things, but he's not.
Well, that was presidential candidate and former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum tearing into Senator Ted Cruz for what he says not being strong enough as a social conservative. Well, the senator is asking voters to take a look at him as a leader to push back on issues such as abortion, gay marriage, and those new drug laws like marijuana. Can his attacks gain some traction? The Senator Santorum joins us now from Johnston, Iowa, where he continues to campaign leading up to the caucuses in 5 weeks. Senator, good to see you on this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What do you mean when you attack Ted Cruz? I mean, the American Conservative Union gives him a 100% score. Heritage Action, 100%. The National Right to Life, 100%. Yet you're taking some shots at him for some of his positions. Why doesn't he pass muster in your view?
Well, there's really two issues here. Number one is sort of a libertarian streak that used to be very much of a disqualifier within the conservative circles, which is that we can't fight these issues at the federal level, that they need to be dealt with at the state level. This is the 10th Amendment argument that you hear a lot of. Ron Paul used that argument 4 years ago, and every social conservative group that I'm aware of said, you know, that we need someone who's going to stand up at the federal level and fight for these issues, whether it's marriage or life or et cetera. And that's really one. Take the issue of marriage. You know, Senator Cruz and frankly Rand Paul and others have said, you know, we're going to let the states decide this. We're not going to really do anything at the federal level. That means if the states want to adopt, you know, same-sex marriage, fine. If they want to adopt polygamy, I guess that's fine, or any other type of marriage. I don't take that opinion. And I think most conservatives say that there's a law, a higher law, that people are accountable to, the natural law, the law of what is right, things that are moral and just. Abraham Lincoln said, you know, the states don't have the right to do wrong. And that's one element. The second element is really the element of judicial supremacy. And Ted Cruz is a very successful trial lawyer. And he gives a lot of credence to the courts. And I think a lot of conservatives are very frustrated with the judicial activism we see at the court and are looking for someone as a president to stand up, and when the court violates the Constitution, to stand up to the court and say, no, you can't do that, and it's incumbent upon the president to act. Again, that's another difference between where I think most conservatives are and the approach that he's taken on these issues.
What are some of these issues, as you mentioned? Look at you know, drug laws, Colorado, that sort of thing. It is up to the states.
Well, no, it actually isn't. There's a federal controlled substances law that's very clear that this is illegal behavior, and the president has basically not chosen, the United States Justice Department has chosen not to enforce that, whether it comes to Colorado's marijuana laws or some of the medical marijuana cases. All of those are against federal law. And the fact is that the federal government is simply choosing not to enforce those laws. I think that's wrong. I think these decisions, when it comes to very dangerous drugs, should be made by accomplished professionals at the Food and Drug Administration, not by political debate at the state level.
Now, you, of course, won in Iowa at the caucuses, squeaked it out over Mitt Romney. Now, look who's way ahead at the moment, though, Donald Trump. I mean, can you explain that, please, in a state that is as socially conservative as Iowa is? The evangelicals, Mr. Carson, he's just gone down for now. And sadly, you know, look, you're down at 0.5%. You're sticking with it. I mean, you've got your beliefs. You've got your dedication. You stand by your principles. What, in your view, accounts for Mr. Trump's popularity, and what do you think will happen?
Well, I just go back to 4 years ago at this point. I was at 3% in the polls, and the people of Iowa tend to, it's just like most people, don't really make their decisions on who they're going to vote for until until you get closer to the election. I think 4 years ago, over 75% of the people didn't decide till the last month. 50% didn't decide till the last week here in Iowa, and 50% of my voters 4 years ago didn't decide till the last day. So I think
can you say that again? What?
Plenty of
I'm
time.
sorry, 50% didn't decide until the last day?
Right. I think it was the last day or last 48 hours or something like that, according to the exit polls. The bottom line is that with the number of candidates we have in this race, there's going to be a lot of movement here in Iowa, and frankly, I think across the country as we approach caucus days and primary days. People are going to start to get serious, start evaluating the candidates. And what I know about the folks here in Iowa, they're very issue-driven, and there are a lot of issues that well, frankly, haven't been brought to the table yet, but will be. And I mentioned some of the articles that are now starting to pop up about not just Senator Cruz, but about Donald Trump and about other candidates and their positions. And I think once people get a chance to see how people stand up on the issues, what their track record is, what their proposals are going forward, I think you're going to see this race shift a lot.
All right. Well, you got 5 weeks. We'll see what happens, Senator.
That's
Thank
right.
you. It was good to see you. Thank you for joining us from Iowa.
Thank you.
And Happy New Year.